Hello my cozy friends, and welcome back to Crafting Crimes with Tay, the channel where I talk about true crime while I also crochet something fun in the process. Today is our first official video and our first official case, and I'm super excited to be sharing this with you guys. I mean, the case is really sad, but I'm super excited to get the ball rolling on this project because I love true crime so much. Anyway, today's case, usually true crime, you think murder, serial killers, something of that sort, cults. But today's case is nothing of the sort. But it's still... ugh. We are diving into the Return to Nature funeral home case. Now, this story initially popped up on my radar when I was watching documentaries. I know, shocker. But I was on Max, and my mom had recommended me the series The Curious Case Of, which is basically like a bunch of mini documentaries in like a season. So I was like, oh, absolutely. That's where I get my true crime love, is my mother, because she also loves true crime, and I grew up with her watching Law & Order SVU, so I will blame her. Anyway, in one of these episodes, we are introduced to John and Carrie Halford, the owners of the Back to Nature funeral home, which essentially is like an eco-friendly funeral home, Like, some people when they die, they're like, oh, I want my body to be made in a biodegradable coffin, and I want to grow a tree. I've heard so many people say that because they want to, like, give their body back to the environment. And it's been on the rise since, like, 2020, I think. So they were like, oh my god, yes, absolutely, we're gonna get into this business. We're gonna do biodegradable coffins, more eco-friendly cremations, all that good jazz. That is what they advertised, and people loved it. They knew that their loved ones wanted to be sustainable, even if, like, that wasn't their exact wishes, sudden deaths and all that. I went through that myself with my father. But they knew that their family members and friends wanted sustainability, so they were like, oh my god, this is great. And that's what all these people in Colorado were thinking. And who are they? I feel so bad for these people. Okay, I'm getting into it now. In October of 2023, yes, this case is that recent, neighbors of the Back to Nature funeral home called police complaining about a horrendous smell that was coming from the building. So, police get enough calls, they're like, alright, we're gonna check it out. Because they tried calling the owners, John and Carrie Halford, they weren't answering, and then you just gotta check. So they entered the establishment to find out what the stench was coming from, and what they opened the door into is my worst nightmare. What was found in that funeral home as they opened the doors was nearly 200 decomposing bodies stacked on top of each other with no preserves. There was no cooling unit. They were all just there, stacked on top of each other, and some of them had been there for years. So I don't know if that's gotta be stinky. I've never smelled a decomposing body, but I can only assume. Me personally, I'm the type of person that does not want to see a dead body. I do not care if you are my great-grandmother. I do not care if you're my grandmother. I do not care if you're my father. I do not want to see your dead body. I think dead bodies are creepy. I think they're weird. The soul is gone from that body. Therefore, I want nothing to do with that carcass. Please, take it away, cremate it, turn it into dust. I mean, that's what I did with my father when I was the one. Well, I didn't see his body, but, like, when I discovered that my father was dead, and they were like, do you want to see his body? I was like, fuck no. Absolutely not. No. Everyone else in my family saw it. I didn't. I'm all set. I'll take his ashes. And his urns on my dresser. I'm not seeing his body. No, ma'am. But that is why this story is one of my greatest nightmares, is because I despise dead bodies. Don't know why. It's just the carcass. I don't like it. And while, 200 decomposing bodies, that some of them had been there for about a year or more, that's disgusting, right? That's awful. That is only the beginning, because the Halfords and what they did goes so much deeper than just disrespecting physical bodies. You know, you want a body cremated, right? You basically, you trust these people to take your loved one, your deceased loved one, and you trust them with the burning of their corpse, and you expect to get their ashes back of that corpse. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the basis of cremation. You know, it'll go back. That was my awful rendition of a body going into an incinerator, whatever. But as more details began to come out with this story, and as authorities began to search the property, they found dried concrete next to urns that they had, which meant that it was possible some of the families, instead of being given the remains of their loved one, were just given dry concrete. And some of the people that were thought that, you know, the body was buried already or cremated, and like that they had, like they thought their loved one was taken care of, like everything's all set. Imagine getting that phone call of like, hey, remember your daughter that died and you thought it was taken care of by this funeral home? Well, it wasn't. Her body's right here. So then you have to go through the grieving process all over again? Like, you already thought this was taken care of, and now it's reopening the wounds that you are given. Like, I cannot even imagine. Going through one grief process is one thing, but having to go through it again and have to figure out it all from the start. I can't. I feel so bad for these families. And some of them even like tested their remains to see if they were dried concrete, and they were. And their bodies weren't found there, so where is the body? We don't know. I don't know. You probably don't know. Do the Halfords know? But we'll get back to them. There are even people who have, you know, remains, but they don't even know if it's their loved one's remains. Like, now they're questioning everything. So, shocker, as, you know, this is all happening, Halfords have been posting, like, that they're on vacation, like, they have kids, they're having a grand old time doing whatever. And meanwhile, they have, like, 190 bodies rotting in their business that they're supposed to be running. Like, the only, like, the basic thing you're supposed to be doing is something with the body, whether it be, like, keeping it preserved until burial, or cremating it, and you couldn't do the most simple of jobs. And both of these people, or at least I think John, had like experience working in a funeral home. This case is so frustrating, not only because it hits close to home, because like I can imagine this happening with my father and me losing my shit, but it's just like, just thinking about it, it's like, why? What was the point of this? Like, you're not satisfying some need that you think you have to kill. You're not like being a leader or a follower in a cult. You're just being lazy at the expense of someone else's grief. Like, and that's why I wanted to do this case, because it's so different and it's just so out there. I had to share it. Anyway, the Halfords were essentially caught at a point. I mean, clearly they would have had to have been caught. And I'm happy that they were caught so that they would not get away with this awful crime. And then, you know, police did more digging, and turns out they misused 900,000 COVID fund reliefs on vacations and nonsense. So instead of using that $900,000 to, you know, build a proper cooler or build the proper cremation, eco-friendly cremation thing, like, they did their research, but they like half-assed it. Like, they kept saying like, oh, this coolant isn't working in our freezer, or like I'm trying to figure out this water formed cremation, but I just can't get it right. Like, that's what those funds could have been used for, but instead it was more for luxuries and vacations rather than, you know, doing the right thing, allegedly. They also let their funeral license expire like the year before in 2022. And the reason why this was possible and that people were able to keep coming to them was basically because in Colorado, they had very, very, very loose, like, funeral license and all that nonsense type of, like, very loose laws. Like, it was a joke in the community, the funeral home community, that if you got your license revoked in one state, you could just move to Colorado and you would just be fine. You know what I mean? And, like, that's really sad, and the fact that this state didn't have the correct laws, and therefore they're also at fault that this happened. I mean, they're not at main fault. It's definitely the Halfords are at main fault, but you understand. You get what I mean. So the couple was charged clearly with fraud, abuse of a corpse, and theft, because, you know, you're stealing and all that good jazz. I had to read my scripts down here, and yeah. They also were a part of a civil lawsuit with the victims' families, and the victims' families were awarded $950 million, but I'm gonna be so for real with you right now, that family's not gonna see, like, any money. Like, usually in cases where it's like a high amount of money, like, unfortunately the victims aren't even gonna see, like, $950 million. Like, where are they gonna get that money? It's not just gonna fly out of their misusing corpse pocket. I tried. I really tried with that one. Didn't work. The only good news in this case is that since this happened back in October of 2023, Colorado has stricken its laws with funeral home laws, because they were so lax before, and now they're doing better, I guess. And so, you know, now Callie or Carrie, do I keep calling her Callie? I don't care. I don't care if I get her name right, because she's such a piece of shit. They pled guilty, or Carrie originally pled guilty, but now she revoked her plea, and her trial is going to be starting soon, and once that happens and I get more information, I will be updating that on my blog, and if you want to read my blog, it's down in the description below. But I believe that John has pled guilty, but I know Carrie changed her plea. So yeah. Like I said, if you'd like to read more, I have more information and more thoughts in my blog down below. Yeah, I'm just so disgusted by this case, and I find it one of the most interesting because you don't hear true crime cases like this very often, and it has nothing to do with murder, nothing to do with cults. Instead, it's, you know, ruining the emotional lives of people, and it's still messed up, but that's why I want to share this story. And now that we're at the end of the video, I want to reveal what I've crocheted. Have you made the correct guess? I hope you have, but I don't know. It is a funky looking rat. Here he is in all of his glory. He is so stinking cute. Don't ask me why he has a funky nose. I really love crocheting rats. This one is not going to be for sale. I will soon, probably for the next one, be selling the next one. But I'm trying to make like a little rat squad. He's a part of it. He's, to me, a piece of art. He's supposed to represent my anxiety. So, or no, my loneliness. He's supposed to represent my loneliness. My next one for myself is going to be anxiety. But I think he's so cute. I love the ombre. And, yeah. And the pattern that I used to make him will be down below. He has his little feetsies. And he has his little tail. He's just adorable, and I love him so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the project. Let me know what other stories you would like for me to cover down below. And remember, all, stay cozy, stay crafting, and stay compassionate. See you guys in the next one.